Today I'm going to be going over another TryHackMe lab. This is the Windows Fundamentals Part 1 room, and I already did start the machine. And for this, you don't have to start the attack box. You just go down here in the third introduction to Windows and start the machine right there. It usually takes a couple minutes, so it's best to just get that out as quickly as possible. Now I'm going to do Task 1, Windows Edition. The Windows operating system has a long running dating back to 1985 and is the predominant operating system in both home and corporate networks. Because of this, Windows has always been targeted by your hackers and your malware writers. Windows XP was a very popular version of Windows and had a very long running. Microsoft announced Windows Vista, which is a complete overhaul of the Windows operating system. There were many issues with Windows Vista, so it was not received well by the users, and it got phased out very quickly. When Microsoft announced the end of date for the Windows XP, it did cause a lot of panic. A lot of corporations and hospitals, they did scramble to test the next viable Windows version. At that point, it was Windows 7. Against many other hardware and devices, so vendors had to work against the clock to ensure that the product worked with Windows 7 for their customers. If they didn't, the customers would have had to break the agreement that they had and then find another vendor that would actually upgrade their products to work with Windows 7. With Windows 7, as quickly as it was released, it was marked for the end of support date as well. Then Windows 8 came out, and it left as it was short-lived, just like Windows Vista. Then arrived Windows 10, followed by Windows 11, which Windows 11 is the current operating system. Windows 11 came in two flavors. You do have your Home, and then you do have your Pro. You can read the difference between Home and Pro here, so just click on this link right here, and I'll show you the differences. Even though we didn't talk about servers, the current Windows version operating system for the server is Windows Server 2025. Many critics, they do like to bash on Windows, but they've made a very long strides to improve the usability and security to each new version of the Windows. As of June 2021, Microsoft announced the retirement date for Windows 10, so you can click this viewable link here. I believe the life for Windows 10 was 2015 to 2025. As you see down here, it got support until October 14th of 2025. What encryption can you enable on Pro that you can't enable in Home? So in here, do not say anything in here, but you do have this right here. Shows us the difference between Home and Pro. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and see exactly what the differences are. And looking on this, the only thing that is different is the BitLocker drive encryption. I'm going to go back over here. So what encryption can you enable? That's going to be your BitLocker. The desktop, GUI, also known as GUI. Windows Desktop, aka a graphical user interface, or GUI in short, is the screen that welcomes you once you log into the Windows 10 machine. Traditionally, you will have to pass the login screen first. The login screen is where you need to enter the valid account credentials, like your username and your password, stuff like that, or maybe even a PIN. And this right here, as you can see, this is going to be the Windows 10 version. It's not the Windows 11. And this is the GUI here. And right here, it is actually going over each different spot. So this is your desktop here. And then your start menu is going to be this Windows logo here. This is your search box. Just click this, search for any apps or anything you may need. And over here, this is going to be your task view button. And this whole bar right here is your task bar. Go down here. So 6, this is going to be your tools bar. So right over here, it's going to show your hidden icons. It's going to show all of this right there. Then you do have your notification area right here. The desktop is where you're going to have all your shortcuts to your programs, your files, etc. These icons will either be organized in a folder sorted alphabetically or scattered randomly with no specific organization on the desktop. So with this, they only have Google Chrome and they have Wireshark here, but you can add anything you need. So if you use a lot of things on a common regular basis, like let's say you're learning a bunch of IT stuff and you have Cisco Packet Tracer, you can put it right on there. Or if you like to play a lot of video games, you could put your video games on there. Just anything you need, and you can move this around to organize it however you like to make it easier for you. As well, so if you right-click anywhere on the desktop, a context box menu will appear. So this right here. This menu will allow you to change the size of the desktop icons, specifically how you want to arrange them, copy, paste them, all the items to your desktop, and create new items such as folders, shortcuts, text documents, stuff like that. As you can see here, just click new. You can add in folders, bitmap image, compress zip file. Then under the display settings, so it's going to be this right here, you can make changes to the screen's resolution and orientation. In case you have multiple computer screens, you can make configurations to multiple screen setup. In this remote desktop setting, some of the display settings is going to be disabled. As you can see right here, the resolution and the orientation right there. But when you're not in a remote desktop setting, that's not going to be an issue. You should be able to do your resolution, your orientation setting right there. You can also change the wallpaper by selecting personalize. I'm going to get out of here. So just like right clicking again, you go to personalize, you can switch up your wallpaper as you like. As you can see right here, you can change the picture. You can change the way that the background is laid out. Then you do have the start menu. In the previous version of Windows, it would be the word start, but now you do have the Windows logo right here. The start menu is going to provide access to all the apps and programs, all the utilities that are most useful. So here you have your Google Chrome, your server manager, Windows accessories, and then as well, you can go here, the number 1 as well. So this right here, that's going to be the first section. This is going to provide shortcuts to actions that you can perform with your account or login session. So you can log in to different users right here. You can create new documents. You can pull up folders, get into your settings. This is your power display as well. And after that, you do have the second section, which would be here. And this is going to have all of your recently added apps and your programs. And when you are in here, you can click these letters. And on this virtual machine, there's really not much going on. But when you have a lot of different apps in there, just click these letters and it'll jump right to it. So if I click S, it's going to jump right to the S's. In your third section, it's going to be this right here. This is where if you have anything important, you can pin it over here. So as you can see, this is saying on pin from start. We don't want to do that, but let's say we want to pin in Wireshark. Now Wireshark is over here, or if we don't want it there anymore, we just unpin it. Next, we have the taskbar. The taskbar is going to be this right here. Some of the components, they're going to be enabled and visible by default. The toolbar, for example, was enabled for demonstration purposes. If you wanted to disable some of these components, all you have to do is right-click this taskbar right here, and it'll bring up this little text box right here that you could adjust things however you want. And you can get into taskbar settings as well in the task manager. Any apps and programs, folders, and files that you open the start menu will also appear on the taskbar as well. So if I go into Google Chrome or Wireshark, all that's going to be down here. As you can see on mine, this is Windows version 11. I have the Windows Explorer open up. I have my recorder open up right there as well. So it'll show that right here. The notification area is going to be over here at the bottom right. There's not exactly much in the way of notifications, so not much to show you there. And other icons is going to be visible in this area. So you'll have your volume icon that you could see here. You're going to have your time and your date here. You're going to have your network settings. Even if I show you on my Windows 11 here, so it's going to have all this. It's going to have the mic right there. It's going to have the wireless network that I'm connected to, the volume, the time and date, stuff like that. Then next as well, we can click here. We can go into taskbar settings. And the taskbar settings, you could take this bottom bar right here. Let's say you don't want it to pop up unless you have the mouse hovering over the bottom. You could lower that. You could put it on the side. You could put it on the top. You can also select, as you can see here, select which icons appear in the taskbar. So go down here, select which icons appear in the taskbar. You can turn system icons on or off. So there's a lot of different stuff you could do here. If you are like me and you've been using Windows your whole life, none of this is really new to you. But for those of you that have been using Mac OS, absolutely, I recommend getting yourself familiar with Windows because every corporate environment I've seen, they use Windows. At least for their computers and laptops, for like their desk managers, their HR, their administrators, they pretty much all used Windows. So you're going to want to get familiar with Windows. I'm not saying to ignore Mac operating system, because you would want to know that as well, especially if you're getting more of an IT type of role. You're going to want to be able to work on just about anything. So which selection will hide or disable the search box? Let's see. Which selection will hide or disable the search box? Let's see. Click on search here. It's just going to be hidden. So which selection will hide disable the task view button? And you can see right here the show task view button. It has a check mark next to it. If you don't want to show it, just click that. It's going to disable it. So it's going to be show task view button. Besides clock and network, what other icon is going to be visible in the notification area? So come over here, right click notification area. You can see you do have your open action center. So this is going to be action center. Introduction to Windows. If you haven't already, go ahead and start your machine. If you are trying to do this on a virtual machine from a remote desktop, there's going to be the credentials here. So on to task 4 now, there's going to be the file system. The file system used a modern version of the Windows is going to be the new technology file system, or simply NTFS. Before NTFS, there was FAT16 or FAT32, file allocation table, and HPFS, high performance file system. You will see FAT partitions in use today. For example, you typically see FAT partitions in USB devices, micro SD cards, etc., but traditionally not on personal Windows, computers, laptops, or Windows servers. NTFS addresses many of the limitations on the previous file systems, such as supporting files larger than 4 gigabytes, set specific permissions on folders and files, folders and file compression, and the encryption. If you're running Windows, what is the file system on your Windows installing using? To check that, just go to your properties. So we're going to click here on this folder here. I'm going to go into this PC. Click on, oh no, go back. Going to right click on local disk and hit properties. As you can see, this is your file system right here. It's NTFS. If you need to read more about it, just click this link right here. Now let's speak briefly on some of the features that are specific to NTFS. On NTFS volumes, you can set permissions that might grant or deny access to files or folders. The permissions, they're going to be full control. You can modify, read, and execute, list folder contents, read, and write. This image right here is going to go over all that a little bit more detail. So you can see here, read just permits you viewing the files. Write, you can write into the files and subfolders. Read and execute. It allows you to not only read the files, but if you have any sort of programs you need to run, you can execute those as well. You can list the folder contents. You can list the folder contents, which is going to permit viewing and listing of files and subfolders, as well as executing the files themselves. You can modify the files as well, or you can just have full control, which, I mean, that's just having full control. If you want to know how you can view the permissions for a file or a folder, simply all you have to do is just right-click on a folder that you want to view the permissions for. So let's just follow what they're doing over there. I'm going to go into local disk, double-click on that twice, and then I'm going to right-click on Windows, and I'm going to check the properties. I'm going to go over here into security. And so now that I'm in the Windows properties, so you can click on here, so the groups are usernames, and it'll show different permission structures that they have. So creator owner, you can see they have special permissions right there. Go down to administrator, also special permissions. Go to, let's just say users, because it's going to be the majority of people on there. You're not going to be able to do much of anything, but you can read and execute. You can list folder contents, and you can read. So what you can't do is you can't write. You don't have any sort of special permissions as just a regular user for this file. And another feature of NTFS is going to be the alternate data streams, or ADS. ADS is a file attribute specific to Windows NTFS, the New Technology File System. Every file has at least one data stream, and ADS allows files to contain more than one stream of data. Natively, Windows Explorer doesn't display ADS to the user. There are third-party executables that can be used to view this data. PowerShell, it also gives you the ability to view ADS for files, which we will cover how to use PowerShell to view any ADS in the Windows PowerShell room. So it's not going to go really too deep into it here. From the security perspective, malware writers have used ADS to hide data. Not all of its uses are malicious. For example, when you download a file from the internet, there's going to be identifiers written to ADS to identify that the file is downloaded from the internet. If you want to learn more about ADS, just click this link right here to go over a little bit more of that. What is the meaning of NTFS? It's going to be New Technology File System. Task 5, the Windows System 32 folder. The Windows folder is traditionally known as the folder which contains the Windows operating system. The folder doesn't have to reside in the C drive necessarily. It can reside in any other drive, and technically can reside in a different folder entirely. This is where environment variables, more specifically system environment variables, come into play. Even though not discussed yet, the system environment variable for the Windows directory is the percentage, WINDIR %, and that just stands for Windows directory. For Microsoft, environment variables stored in information about the operating system environment. This information includes details such as operating system path, the number of processors used by the operating system, and the location of temporary folders. So if we go here, it's going to be in the Windows folder. It's going to show you all of these folders here. And then in the Windows folder, it's going to have System 32, which I'll show you down here. And in System 32, you do want to be very careful with it because it does have very essential files that are critical for the operating system. So you don't want to mess with it too much unless you really know what you're doing. If you do want to learn anything more about the System 32, just click this link here and it'll go over that for you. What is the system variable for Windows folder? That's going to be %, WINDIR. User accounts, profiles, and permissions. User accounts can be one of two types. On a typical Windows system, it's going to be your administrator and your standard user. The user type of account is going to determine the type of actions that the user can perform on that specific Windows system. An administrator, they can make changes to the system, they can add users, delete users, modify groups, modify settings on the systems, a lot of stuff like that. Where a standard user, they can only make changes to the folders and the files that are attributed to the user themselves. They can't perform any system level changes. You can't go in, you can't do the troubleshoot option, any of that, unless you are in that specific group. In this lab, we're currently logged in as administrator, and there are several different ways to determine which user account exists on the system. So one way, go into the Start menu, click right here. We just type in other user, and it's going to pop up other users right here. And in here, you could see that there's the TryHackMe account right here. And as the administrator, I can add somebody else to this PC. But if you are just a standard user, this option would not be there. And when I click into here as the administrator, I can change the account type. I can remove it entirely. And when a user account is created, a profile is going to be created for the user, and it's going to be created in another folder called users. For example, as you can see right here, the user profile folder for the user account will be called users max. The creation of the user's profile is done upon the initial login. When the new user account logs into a local system for the first time, they'll see several different messages on the screen. As you can see right here, this is one of the messages. This is one of the messages that you're going to see. And then once they do log in, they do get this right here. And they'll see this dialog box. It's going to be indicating that the profile is in creation. Each user will have the same folders. So your same basic folders, your desktop, documents, downloads, music, your pictures, stuff like that. Another way to access this information is using the local users and group management. So for this, going to right click on the start menu, click run. That's going to be lusrmgr.msc. Now that I'm into the local users and group management, you can click on here. You can see all the different users. Go back to the groups. You can see all the different groups. And each group is going to have certain permissions that are set to that specific group, as opposed to assign it to the specific person. And the reason why companies are going to do that, if they have a Salesforce or they have HR, instead of each individual person creating that permission structure for each individual, they create that permission structure for the group. So all they have to do is add that person to the group. And it makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker to set new people up. Now, what is the name of the other account user? Let's go into users and look here. It looks like it is TryHackMe Billy. TryHackMe Billy. What groups is this user a member of? So you can come in here, you see a member of, and they are a member of remote desktop users and users. It's going to be remote desktop users and then users. What built-in account is for guest access to the computer. That one's going to be very simple. It's just this right here is going to be guest. What is the account description? It's actually going to be this right here. If you can look, it's going to be the window, money sign, fun 1, exclamation point. So what is the account description? It's going to be window, money sign, capital F, 1, then exclamation point. User access control. The large majority of home users are logged into the Windows system as a local administrator. Remember from the previous task that any users with administrators as the account type can make changes to the system. A user doesn't need to run with high elevated privileges on the system to run tasks that don't require such privileges, such as doing simple things like searching the internet or working on a Word document. This elevated privilege increases the risk of system compromise because it makes it easier for malware to infect the system. Consequently, since the user account can make changes to the system, the malware would run in the context of the logged-in user. To protect local users with such privileges, Microsoft introduced User Account Control, or UAC. This concept was first introduced with short-lived Windows Vista and continued with the versions of Windows that followed. And UAC, it is important to remember that it does not apply for the built-in local administrator accounts. And how does the UAC work? Whenever a user with an account type of administrator logs into a system, the current session doesn't run with elevated permissions. When an operating system requires higher level privileges needed to execute, the user will be prompted to confirm that they permit the operation to run. So if we look at this program, it is, let's get out of here, get out of there, let's get out of there as well. So if we go over here at Wireshark, we just go ahead and double click on this. What it's actually going to do is it's going to prompt me if I do in fact want to run it. As you can see right here, it is prompting me if I do in fact want to run it. So this is just one of the built-in safety features. If you're not in an administrator account, it does prompt you for a password, as opposed to just being able to click run. Then if we even go into this folder file, go into the Wireshark folder here, let's go to desktop, let's right click on Wireshark, hit properties. Then we can go to the security tabs here like they're showing, and it's showing what groups could run this program. It's going to be your administrators right here, and they have full control. What you could do if you do want to get a little bit more familiar with the system, you can log in as a remote desktop to machine, so you can go over to the standard user account. You can see the note here is saying that the username and password for the standard user is going to be visible in the local user manager. And that's going to be here. So if this is the user account, this right here is going to be the username, and this is going to be the password. I'll log into the remote desktop. Just go into here, click on remote desktop, type in localhost. And then it'll prompt you for the username and the password. So if you'd like to get a little bit more experience with this, and then if you did want to see how the Wireshark would look on the actual desktop itself when you're in the standard user, this is going to show you. And if you did go ahead and log in as the local user, or if you're just following along here on the side, this is what it'll actually look like. It's going to have this shield right here. That's going to indicate that you're just a standard user on the account. You're not going to be the administrator. And then it's going to prompt you for the password here as well. And then after some time, if the password is not entered, the user account control prompt is going to disappear and the program does not install. So we won't be able to actually install it without the correct password. What does UAC mean? That's user account control. Task 8, settings and control panel. On the Windows system, the primary locations to make changes are going to be the settings menu and the control panel. For a long time, the control panel is going to be the go-to location to make changes, such as add printer, uninstall a program. However, the settings menu was introduced in Windows 8, the first ever Windows operating system catered to touchscreen tablets, and it's still available in Windows 10. Matter of fact, the setting menu is now the primary location it usually goes if they're looking to make any changes to the system. There are going to be similarities between the two menus. So as you can see in the screenshot right here, there's going to be your settings menu. There's going to be your control panel. And for the settings, you can just go in here. This is your settings menu here. And for the control panel, just type in control panel right here. And it'll pop up the control panel app right there for you. And if you want to see which applications are installed in the system, you can click the Programs button shown here in the control panel. So we go to Programs right here, and then Programs and Features. And this is going to show all the applications that are installed on the system. As you can see, the Wireshark that's been going over, Amazon SSM Agent. In this way, you can verify any software that's been added to the machine. Next, you do have the settings menu. Just go and click the Windows logo down there. Click Settings. And as well, you can also see if you don't want to type in control panel, you can also do it right there as well, as long as you do have it pinned in this section over here. Now that we're in the settings, you can go ahead and click on the network and internet. That is going to be right here. And it's going to show you that if you are connected to the internet, which I am, you can change your adapter options. You can do a network troubleshooter. You can do your Windows firewall, network reset, all that type of stuff. Now, some of this stuff you may need elevated privileges for in the administrator account. Then notice, if you go into the change adapter options, what it's actually going to do is it's going to put you in the control panel, as you can see right here. Or if you want to see it a little bit more clearly, you can see it here. If you're ever unclear which app you do need to open to change a setting, all you have to do is go to the start menu here and just type it in, and it'll give you whatever option they think is best. So if we just type in, what are they typing in? Wallpaper. It's going to send you to the system settings. If it's something in the control panel, it's going to show you the control panel as well. In the control panel, change the view to small icons. What is the last setting in the control panel view? To change it to small icons, just click over here in the category section. You can see you have small icons. So the answer to this is going to be Windows Defender Firewall. The last subject we're going to be touching on is going to be the Task Manager. The Task Manager is going to provide information about the applications and the processes currently running on the system. Other information is also going to be available there, such as how much RAM and CPU are being utilized, which is going to fall under performance. You can access all of this by right-clicking this taskbar here. Then you click in the Task Manager. And then you can see Task Manager. It's not showing a whole lot right here, but if you do want to show all of the processes, just click More Details. It's going to show you the current CPU, current memory. It's going to show you all the different running processes. If you need any extra help, you can also just click this link right here. It'll go over it a little bit more. And if you also wish to learn more about the core Windows processes, just click this link right here as well. It'll take you to another room, but I'm just going to get to that in the future, so I'm not worried about it right now. All right, what is the keyboard shortcut to open the Task Manager? So it's not showing it anywhere up in here, but as you can see, you can refer to this blog post for more detailed information about the Task Manager, so I'm going to click into here. And this right here, how to launch Task Manager. Windows offers many ways to launch Task Manager. Press Ctrl Shift Escape. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this. So what is the keyboard shortcut to open your Task Manager? That is going to be your Ctrl plus Shift plus Escape. And this is going to wrap up this lab right here. So this is going over everything that we went over here. And once again, if you are used to Windows, you may not need any extra help with this, but if you've been using Mac operating systems your whole life, just continue to go through all of this as much as you possibly can until you really grasp it, because Windows is going to be very predominant in a corporate setting. I do have a little bit more going on now since I am studying for my CompTIA A+. So I'm just going to be uploading videos on every Sunday, because that's when I'm going to have a little bit more time, because I really need to dedicate way more time to my CompTIA A+, because that's going to open up more opportunities for me. All right, thank you everybody for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.